I first saw the protest from my window, like right over there.
Yeah.
And I was like kind of confused as to like what was going on, and then my friends told me it's a Palestine protest. And then around like 10, our friend told us that everyone was getting arrested, but I never expected it to be as brutal as it was.
So now what's your question?
What were we talking about?
I don't know, because I had this all wrong. I thought you were kind of this bystander walking home from eating pizza.
I was doing that.
Right.
So I was on my way back to the dorm, but I saw that something kind of crazy was going on over there.
All of RPC is getting arrested. We'll never be defeated.
They had you see, there's still people over there that are arrested. They're all on the hands of
no, everybody.
Did you see? I got video.
What is wrong with you? The situation did not call for this.
Police were just like shoving him down the ground. He kept like asking me to help him, but like I couldn't do anything.
Where did the alarms go off?
Oh, I think all of them.
All of these?
Everyone has to come out now.
It was definitely the scariest thing I've ever experienced in person.
Stay back! Stay back!
What's going on? What's going on?
Police were attacking people right there. These alarms went off and all of the students in these buildings had to go outside to the police, right? While the police were with their megaphone telling students that if they were outside, they were going to be arrested.
Yeah, they kept telling people to go back inside.
Go in the door with the fucking fire alarm, you dipshit!
Why is there a drone?
One person got arrested the day after the
If they can
police
recognize you, they'll do it. So you cover your face, you wear nothing identifiable. Don't wear any clothing that like you wear all the time on campus.
We kept yelling like, "What are the charges?" And they just ignored us.
What are the charges?
There are no fucking charges!
He was just standing there. He was just standing there. Fuck you! He's innocent!
Okay,
What are the charges?
Well, I mean, what were the charges? Like,
Invading quiet hours.
oh, come on.
What were you doing out there? I didn't even hear them. We live like they live right there.
I was right up
We
there.
didn't
I
even hear
didn't hear a single thing. And then the chopper came in with the spotlight.
I think they said because of fire alarms, but they went off after the attack started.
Yeah, the protesters, the original protesters, I mean, they were out there, they weren't even near them, and then they were all arrested.
Do you have anything to say about FIT?
I mean, it's awful. It's just the same situation really happening on all the campuses. I knew people who were involved, and it was the same situation of peaceful protesting and just having a presence to make their opinions known.
Why do you think they decided to arrest you?
I was holding my phone, and I was tall, so I was like an easy target to pick out.
Very tall. Show your height. Next to you guys.
Just violent arrests being made on anyone who didn't clear out immediately, even if they, weren't technically doing anything illegal. It's not illegal to be on your college campus.
Are they threatening us for being outside?
Yes.
Your outfits look stupid!
A police officer's job, their whole job is to like de-escalate something and not escalate it.
There's no way.
They want to be able to create a situation where then they can feel vindicated.
Whether you agree with what the protesters were fighting for or not, like it was blatantly obvious that everything was pretty quiet and peaceful until the police showed up.
It's a disturbing situation, and some of those cops were getting off on the fact that they got to beat a bunch of punk ass fucking college kids.
My friends heard the police saying, "I've been waiting for this all day."
I would think that a lot of them, or a portion of them, I don't know who, probably thinks that every one of the protesters are anti-Semitic, right? Just like the protesters thinking that every single one of the cops are like bad, horrible people that are authoritarians.
County SWAT officers. Oh my god.
We need like an official person to like deactivate the fire alarms. I tried sleeping in this room. Right on the floor here, I put my blanket, pillow, and jacket. My adrenaline was way too high to sleep, so I just walked back to my dorm in a couple hours. When I returned to my dorm, the fire alarms were off. I still couldn't sleep because of my adrenaline, so I just did my laundry, and I went to bed at about maybe 8:30, and then I woke up at like 9:30, so I think I went through like one REM cycle. They were like, we're gonna suspend you for protesting now because there's a lot of disturbances caused at last protest. It's like, there were definitely a lot of disturbances at last protest.
For sure.
Stop! Get the fuck off of me!
There were like hundreds of witnesses.
It's like
and
gaslighting you.
and it's all on videotape.
Yeah. The second night?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't really have a...
Oh, you didn't have a second protest?
We had succeeding protests. The next morning, there was a walkout from classes, and then directly after that, I went to go garbage rummaging for people's belongings. Amongst those belongings were school computers and school books, and also IDs and phones.
The police like trashed all the student stuff and like threw it behind a building.
Yep. So they trashed it all, put it in a restricted section of campus. Because it is a restricted area that you are trespassing on, you could be arrested for misdemeanor.
I read a news article. They said that the cops warned them 10 times before they came in and started arresting people.
Dude, I think they.
And that's what
I
the
think
administration of
they...
the school told the news, that they were warned 10 times.
No, I think don't think that's
true. I saw them film.
I think he might have said it like 10
no,
times.
but they said,
they
said they warned them 10 times
they
before they even arrested anyone.
But that was like in the middle of them. Like,
go get your shower. It definitely credit me. It definitely made me a bit more pessimistic about
me too.
government.
Right hand on the shoulder, yep. Wide stance, 1 foot in front of the other.
Just were more of you protesting. I mean, it's the silliest thing to think that you're going to take people who are rallying for peace, they're protesting against violence, and then you're going to use violence on them. No, that's exactly what they're standing up against.
But don't you think that there was a whole other group there at that point that didn't necessarily support the original protest, but did protest the use of police force?
I was supportive of the protests before the police raid, but I also wasn't very like educated in what was happening, so I didn't really feel like I should necessarily say a whole lot about it.
Yeah, I'm not even going to pretend to know what is happening in the Middle East because I don't know all of the cultures. I don't know all of the history.
So many interest groups.
Yeah.
They're controlling the narrative, so it's really hard to even.
And it's hard to necessarily trust, the actual people there because it's coming from a single perspective.
Night one, they attack us very violently to make us afraid.
Everyone here the second night, I was like, uh-oh. It wasn't actually, I don't think anything really happened.
I don't think they thought we were going to recamp, so I think that's why they didn't have anything ready for us.
Yeah.
Or that's one of the reasons. Night number two, they say that if we're seen protesting, they will suspend us.
If you keep being unidentifiable, you cannot get suspended. They can't just give random suspensions.
But, that means that if we can't prove to them that we're students, we'd be trespassing, basically, which gives the police the right to, arrest us now.
Why?
because
wouldn't you want to? That's kind of a logical.
That they did that on purpose.
So you have to decide between being charged with trespassing and being suspended.
Yes.
What was your choice?
I chose being charged for trespassing.
Say that from a first-hand witness or yik yak?
Okay, I said that I heard that they brought either an actual LRAD or a fake speaker made by LRAD.
This is going far. You saw a picture or something?
It was like
LRAD.
LRAD. Do you think they were like intentionally like trying to get us scared by making us think it was like a more
100%. Dang.
Elaborate.
Actually, no. Because I heard somebody in my class said they asked them if it was an LRAD and they said no, and then it said LRAD on it. So.
Well, we have pictures of the LRAD.
I don't know if they were trying to intimidate them. Would they say no?
LRAD is 160 decibels. A jet engine standing behind a jet engine as it's taking off is 130 to 140 decibels.
Okay, what do I do?
Hello. Okay, it's 160 decibels. What does that mean?
If they brought the first night, no one would think they would be for real.
What do you mean?
The other nights beyond May 2nd were really tame. It was very peaceful.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was like running because they had like, everyone was like scattering after we had the LRAD scare.
Mm-hmm.
We ran to the dorms and we were like yelling like, "Fuck you, Patty Bice," like out of the door.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear any of that, or were you like asleep?
I was probably asleep when it happened.
On the same night that they brought in the LRAD, they closed the Stood Up,
I know.
which is the only place on campus where they get free hearing protection.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And it's a safe spot to go. That is so upsetting that they closed that up because the night before, obviously, they had the drills, the alarms go off, and kids needed someplace to go. And then I can't believe that the next night they closed up the student building.
They locked up all the buildings so people couldn't go there.
That's so dangerous. I mean, the whole thing is insane.
It's okay. It's okay.
And when I came back to the camp, I was scared because there was a lot of confusion. Because they were like, "Oh, it's safe, come back now." But I was kind of like, "Wait, what's going on?" If they don't have a sonic weapon, why would you be giving me hearing protection? I was like...
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And it's like, they just have a loud speaker, so it's like, it's
Yeah.
still dangerous, I guess.
Yeah, it's still dangerous. Yeah.
I went home at like 2 o'clock in the morning that night, and it was like, I don't think very many people slept then. I was horrified. PD started tearing the camp down while they were asleep.
You helped move the supplies?
Yeah.
Where did you move the supplies? And I was curious, were you going out and getting supplies while the police were there?
Yeah, they were. What the protesters told me was like, if the police come towards you, stop trying to get the supplies and just run.
Millie let everybody know that she is setting up a free speech zone in the Great Lawn, which is a bit more off to the side than the quad, just so long as we're only protesting during the day.
We had the Vietnam War, and there were lots of...
No, there was a lot of protesting
Yeah,
going
a lot
on.
of protesting.
That was back in the 60s, when we were, about your age.
A lot of the other college campuses around the city had been taken out first, so we knew it was coming, but...
Who do you think is behind the police attacks?
Probably the police.
Exactly what I said.
Don't listen to him.
And they're very not interested in democratic rule, and they're interested in control of this country and all other countries and so on, and money.
And one thing that the protest demands is that the students have more control over the trusts that the college
that's
has.
multiple things.
Well, that's because once the Freemasons get involved, everything gets a little sketchy.
Dude, those Freemasons, dude.
And once
and the outlaw.
Think of the Passover story. Remember you went to Esther's Passovers?
Yeah.
So they were going to kill people. They're going to kill the firstborn sons. There was always some effort being made to control the population of the Jews and things like that. Say it's the Russians, it would be the Poles or the Czechoslovakians or whatever the countries are, Hungarians, they would start thinking, oh, these people have too much, they're too good, they have too much power. And they were integrated, but it was too much power for a group that had a different religion.
I think they're afraid of the students taking away their power.
I think so too. Yeah.
We fought so many other apartheids historically. You know, in South Africa, there no longer is because of the work of, you know, student protests here.
Because the students, you know, if everyone gets together, they can do anything.
Mm-hmm. I have heard that some students feel uncomfortable with the protest because they like Jewish students who have experienced harassment on campus. Have you experienced a spike in anti-Semitism or like hate towards like Jewish people since the attack?
I mean, I've seen it in the news and I've seen it online, and it's definitely been discomforting for me.
The actual, you know, bomb threats on synagogues in the past few years are not getting the attention they should be.
No, for sure. I mean, I have a Jewish friend that goes here. Joe was asking me, like, I wonder how he feels about all this.
I had just seen on the Discord channel for Hillel that somebody had seen the encampment, and I wanted to go in person to just see what was happening and also comfort anybody that needed that.
I'm sure most people of Jewish descent are probably going to side with Israel.
There are Israelis attacking other Israelis currently.
Mm-hmm.
It is a complete mess.
Whether it's biased or just they align more with Israel's views.
I try to remain as neutral as possible in regards to those things.
Okay.
Like, I feel empathy towards the Palestinian people and what's happening to them. But at the same time, October 7th was a horrific event that has not only impacted the lives of Israelis, but also Jews here because of propaganda that Hamas has perpetrated.
Yeah, the Israeli Jewish hostages, people going around tearing the posters down. And like, what's, you know, it's like really kind of sinister.
Elaborate on what happened.
India and Pakistan are India and Pakistan because England came in and made them pit against each other so that they could actually reap the rewards and resources of those countries that as they are today. They were one people. It is exactly the same. You know, Ireland is a huge example of that. Make groups of people militant in their own self-defense and nationalism. Israel was quote-unquote created to protect, you know, the survivors of the Holocaust. People who came from concentration camps who still have their tattoos on them, their numbers, they're homeless in Israel. To use the trauma of the Jewish people to do that, and it was happening before World War II happened. And World War II was just like this perfect like in.
Yeah, it does seem like Israel is trying really hard to like make people's Jewish identity kind of tied to like.
They work so hard at it.
Yeah, it's just like the terror of like abusing your power, basically.
Yeah.
Because like, especially we know none of those cops that were there got any penalty for that.
I was a psychologist there, so I was having lunch with the teachers.
Oh, okay.
And the principal was thinking it was perfectly fine that the National Guard shot and killed 3 students protesting at the university.
Because there's always loopholes they're gonna find to like allow what they do.
You know, it really goes through all the like documentation that made it legally okay to do what's happening there.
It'd be better to be afraid of people from Gaza or just disregard them, don't value their life. That's what's happening right now. They can just be blown up.
Conflict, war, all those things follows the money. So what companies have stores in the West Bank?
I think those people are interested in curtailing that kind of protesting because it actually brings about too much cooperation in the world between peoples, different countries and different, you know, walks of life.
Like all of these schools have Passover services in the encampments, and it was multicultural, multi-religious. Like it was, everybody came to support their Jewish peers. The school was preaching that anti-Semitism was rampant and that Jewish people were feeling unsafe. The Jewish people in those encampments were unable to go back to their dorms to get their candles for Shabbat.
They're scared to go to the dorms because they could have been arrested.
There's a
if-
student who just walked out of the dorm at New
No.
College and got arrested. And then at my school specifically, the director of Jewish Studies was doing teach-ins at our encampment. You know, that's how you actually fight anti-Semitism, is through education and love and compassion and listening.
I hope, and I agree. I hope that's true.
Yeah, that's
so,
true.
Some inkling you get is that they are pro-Hamas, and that's where it gets a little creepy.
I follow some of the discords that are there. Some of them are very radical in how they think, and in terms of what needs to happen in regards to Palestine and Israel.
You don't like the two-party solution?
I'm Irish unification person, so no. I don't ever think that's a good idea. It just fuels more hatred.
And it's a little discomforting to see as a Jew because I have an attachment to Israel, even though I criticize its government.
But the issue is, I couldn't tell you exactly what to do.
Do you think it'd be dangerous though if they're like next to each other because they kind of hate each other?
Well, it would, okay.
Like
Nothing that ever happens is going to be good. At this point, what has been created is a disaster.
I mean, it's a sticky situation, and the thing that's worse, it's nothing new. You know what I mean?
Because there was so much war there, and then all the Crusades happened.
And then the parting of the Red Sea, so the Jews could escape. And after the war, after the Nazis were trying to annihilate the Jews, when the Western powers decided to establish for the Jews on the lands of Palestine, these people were thrown off their lands, and if they wouldn't go, they were forcibly taken off. It was a relatively small amount of land compared to what they have now. Palestinians have these, well, no kidding, they've been being murdered and slaughtered by the Israelis for years.
I looked into the issues of the Middle East. That was, the spring of 1980, right? So it's now 44 years later.
And I would talk about stop it, stop the murders and.
Ooh, good job.